Members, Ms. Farrar has already made a motion earlier that all discussions would be placed in the journal. Members, we need to excuse Representative Farrar's brief because of important business in the district. On a motion by Representative Moody, is there any objection? Chair hears none. Chair recognizes Representative Laudenberg in opposition.
Yes, Representative Sylvester Turner, I am making a motion to table this amendment. And as you had a discussion with our colleagues, this is about profits over patient care. And what we are doing is setting the standards. And we do that in several different ways.
Would the gentlelady,
for what purpose?
Would the gentlelady yield for a question?
Laudenberg, will you yield?
I will. It's just let me make my last point. Absolutely.
Sure.
Not at this time.
And we set the standards, but the state is not in the business of funding remodeling projects, improvements. We do this for the safety of the patients, and so respectfully I would move to table this amendment. And yes, I will yield.
Representative Laudenberg, I'd like to ask you just two questions, and it's related to the amendment at hand. Is it your understanding that Planned Parenthood is the state's largest abortion business? Business being the operative word in the state of Texas, and that they have a history of overt eugenics?
Yes.
I want to unpack just for a moment their statewide revenues in our state. Planned Parenthood of Texas takes in $64 million of top-of-the-line revenue.
Above expenses?
Without expenses.
Mm-hmm.
Above
expenses.
Planned Parenthood of America takes in $1.2 billion with a B. More income than most corporations in the United States. $1.2 billion worth of gross revenue. Is that your understanding?
My understanding is that they have over $1.2 billion in assets.
And did you know that Planned Parenthood President Cecil Richards works on average of 33 hours a week and made $444,468 in 2011. The second highest paid employee, did you know, Representative Laudenberg, in 2011 was their COO, who worked 11 months out of the year before leaving and made $411,000.
Mr. Bohack, we're going to ask you to stay on the subject. This is a gentle reminder to stay on the subject.
Well, the subject is the operating revenue of Planned Parenthood and whether or not they have the revenue to afford improving their facilities in order to deliver better service and better health care to women, Mr.
Bohack,
Speaker.
we believe you've made your point.
Well, I would just ask for us to be consistent with making the point for the duration of the evening, because this is my first time at the microphone, Mr. Speaker, and I'm 1 minute into my discussion, and I just want the rule, with all due respect, Mr. Speaker, to apply to everybody, because I'm only halfway into the questions that I had prepared for Representative Laudenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Bunk. Representative Thompson, for what purpose?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, would it be possible to have all of the testimony from every amendment from the commencement of the day's activities included in the journal?
Ms. Thompson, that's already been done on a motion by Ms. Farrar, if I remember right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Ms.
I move to
Laudenberg.
table.
Chair recognizes Mr. Turner to close on his amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. This amendment asks that we appropriate the necessary funding to those clinics that presently exist. Let me just say this in my closing. Are we familiar with the Texas Enterprise Fund? Are we familiar with the Emergency Technology Fund? Are we aware that within the last 2 to 3 weeks that the state of Texas through the Enterprise Fund gave about $12 million to Chevron? Are we aware of that? How big can big be? Planned Parenthood, Chevron. Texas Enterprise Fund, Chevron. And now we are prepared to close down 42 small clinics on a state government mandate. Give me a break. And then when we talk about government, let's talk about government. This is a government bill. It's a government mandate. It's imposing government's values on private businesses in a very personal way. Don't talk to me about government intrusion. It's all right when government intrudes on people's personal rights, but get back on everything else. It's all right we talk about welfare and all these other things. Give me a break. Now, I know, Representative Strickland, you said big government. This is big government in a very personal way, intruding in people's very personal lives and telling businesses what you must do, and if you don't do it, we will put you out of business. It gets no bigger than that. That's government. That's government intrusion. That's government dictating to businesses how to operate and how to work. Whether you're on one side of the issue or another, don't tell me this is not government in this most rawest sense of the word. Whether you're conservative or not, this is big government. This is the state of Texas telling people, number one, you must bear, and telling businesses what you must do, and telling hospitals you must, in a sense, grant admitting privileges. That's what this is all about.
Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Branch, for what purpose?
I do not yield at this moment.
The gentleman yield?
Not at this time, Dan.
Just for one question.
Not at this time, Dan. Not at this time.
Mr. Branch, the gentleman does not yield.
It's amazing. Government can give money to Chevron. Not a problem, Sylvester. Enterprise Fund wants more money? Give him more money. Emergency Technology wants more money? Give them $50 million. That's what we did. But when we impose regulations that have the ability to shut down businesses, we won't provide $1.4 million to something that we want. Our values. I close with this. My pastor gave a sermon one day. He said, if you want to know where people's values are in the old days, take a look at the ledger in their checkbook. Then you will see where people's values are. If this is such a high value, let me look in your checkbook and let me see what you are prepared to afford. Until then, don't talk to me about values. Don't talk to me about government, because it's government when you want it, the way you want it. That's what it says. If it meets my objective, it's okay. It's not the government. Well, that's inconsistent. That is inconsistent, it is hypocritical, and it's not honest.
Mr. Hall, for what purpose?
Will the gentleman yield?
Ms. Turner, will you yield?
I yield.
One quick observation. Are you aware that of the 42 abortion facilities in Texas, only 8 are Planned Parenthood? Belong to Planned Parenthood, so I wanted to make that clarification.
Thank you for the information. And Representative Branch, I did not yield to you. I'm sorry.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask you if you would at least consider another perspective on government. And I appreciate your
comment. And let me just add this. And I want to just add this.
And only because of your eloquence did I rise from my chair.
But let me just tag this. I believe in this amendment so much, I will vote for this bill. I will vote for this bill. If it means so much, and if a woman's health and safety are so important, and if that is the priority, and not just to shut them down, I will vote for this bill. Put the amendment on it and call my bluff on it.
Is the gentleman yield?
The gentleman has yielded the mic.
Mr. Speaker, the gentleman yield for a question.
Mr. Turner, will you yield for a question?
I'm sorry, Dan.
Gentleman yield.
The question I had was, would the gentleman consider another view of government on this, and that at some point government's core function, Mr. Turner, its fundamental basic function is to protect the lives and the public safety of its citizens.
But Dan, let me add to that.
When you do that, that's
Government's
a fundamental, limited core function of government.
But
I just want you to consider.
I got that. But government's core function does not stop at the womb.
Of course it does.
No, let me finish, Dan. Government's core function does not stop at the womb. For the kid that's 6 months, for the kid that's 3 or 4 years old, for the kid that's 5 or 6, I too feel their pain. And I don't have to ask them about whether they are hurting. They can tell me whether they are hurting. Those kids deserve the same opportunity. And these are kids we see every day. Government does not, its responsibility does not stop at the womb. We remain stewards of these children all the way through. Educate them, provide them with health care, housing, put a roof over their head, and let us lead by example.
I just wanted you to consider another view of limited government. You were talking eloquently about big government. Another view of basic core function limited government is public safety. And that's what we're talking about here. Fundamental public safety for women and children.
Dan, we are expanding government and we are doing it by an unfunded mandate. Let's call it what it is. This is a government bill. This is the legislature. This is the state of Texas. We are saying to folk what they must do. We have expanded the size of government with this bill. Whether you like it or not, it is what it is. We are the government about which we speak. And if it's walking like one, if it's talking like one, if it's quacking like one, you may as well flap because it is one. It's a duck.
Will the gentleman yield for
Turner, will
question?
you yield?
I yield.
Gentleman yield.
In State Affairs the other day, Representative Turner, there was a study that has been done in Florida talking about these procedures that are done.
Yes.
And do you recall that the most dangerous one was cosmetic surgery?
That is correct. I remember you brought that testimony up.
Why do you think we wouldn't include that if we were thinking about basic safety?
Representative Giddings, I do not know.
You know my assistant, Sarah Whalen, do you not?
I do know her.
You know that her granddaughter died because of liposuction.
Yes,
Are you aware of that?
I'm aware of that.
And so those kind of procedures have shown to be pretty dangerous.
That is
I
correct.
wonder why we wouldn't include that in this bill if women's safety is our biggest concern here.
Well, I hope people will vote for this bill. I hope they will vote for the amendment. I think it would make the bill much, much better. I hope they will vote for the amendment. No unfunded mandates in this session from this bill.
Mr. Speaker, gentleman yield. Mr. Zedler, for what purpose?
Yes, sir.
Representative Turner, can you name me any other medical procedure where 85,000 Texans die every year?
I think if you look on the streets of urban and rural Texas, you will see a lot of kids that are walking in hopelessness and despair.
Representative Lucio raises a point of order. The gentleman's time has expired. The point of order is well taken into
I respectfully ask that you vote with me on the amendment. Vote no on the motion to table. No on the vote.
Members, Representative Turner sends up an amendment. Representative Laudenberg moves to table. The question occurs on the motion to table. It's a record vote. Clerk will ring the bell. Show Mr. Gehring voting aye. Show Ms. Laudenberg voting aye. Show Mr. Miles voting no. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? There being 95 ayes and 51 nays, the motion to the table prevails. The chair recognizes Chairman Guerin.
Visitors in the gallery, I know some of you have not been here all day, so you haven't heard this announcement, but applause, cheering, any outbursts in the gallery, and we're going to have to remove you from the gallery. Sit there respectfully and quietly. We love having you here, but we have to maintain the decorum, and so if there are any outbursts, DPS and the sergeants will remove you from the gallery. Thank you.